Wall Street closes mixed, but the S&P 500 and Nasdaq locked their longest gaining streaks in 2 years ahead of key jobs data and Fed Chair Jerome Powell's speech later today. Stocks in the Asia Pacific are largely higher. The GIFT Nifty is implying a positive open for the Indian market. And crude continues to spiral downwards. Prices slump over 3% to a 3-month low as Brent slips below $80 a barrel on demand concerns and rising U.S. inventories. United Spirits' second quarter numbers beat estimates as gross margin expands year over year. Lupin's numbers beat estimates on better than expected U.S. sales, while Tata Power also posts a strong quarter. Pidilite's revenue growth misses expectations, but volume beats street estimates. And in key earnings to track today, a decent quarter is expected from M&M with auto volumes remaining strong. Apollo Hospitals is expected to report a soft quarter, while commercial vehicle major Ashok Leyland will also report second quarter earnings today. Good morning and welcome to Power Breakfast. I'm Pavitra and those are all of the top stories that we're looking at this morning. There's a lot to talk about, whether it's, what's going on in the global markets or in terms of domestic cues also, because we've had so many big earnings coming through, the last of the big earnings really trickling in. But let's start off with the global picture. The handover from Wall Street, like we mentioned once again, was mixed this time around, but the S&P 500 and Nasdaq continue to build on gains. On the back of that, you have most Asian markets which are trading higher. It's not too much of a gain, barring the Nikkei market. So the Japanese index is seeing a good gain. It's up over 200 points, 210 points right now. But the rest of the Asian markets are quite flat. So Seng barely up 0.1%. You have the Taiwanese index, which is up just around 10 points. So it's not too much of a gain to really speak of, but most of them managing to hold in the green. What's in the red is the Taiwanese market, but once the Taiwan also now has pulled up a little bit, so it's not it's trading quite flat. You do have the Kospi, which is trading absolutely flat as well, with a slight negative bias right now. But apart from that, everything is holding in the positive territory for Asia. The GIFT Nifty will come up for you as well, and it is indicating that the open for our own markets at least could be a little bit higher, with 30 points in the green for the GIFT Nifty right now. So that's what's happening across Asia. Let's also talk about the US markets now, because Wall Street ended mixed on Wednesday. The S&P 500 rose for the 8th straight session, extending its longest winning streak that we've seen in 2 years. The Dow, however, came off a bit, so it was down around 40 points at the close, and the Nasdaq was absolutely flat, like you can see, just around 10 points in the green. Now, if you look at it for the month of November so far, which is just around 6 trading sessions, the S&P 500 is up 4.5%, and the Nasdaq has jumped over 6%, 6.2% in just 6 trading sessions. The Dow for the month is up around 3.2% as well. So that rally really continuing on Wall Street. But some more important cues that came through from the US is, some of the big earnings. You had Disney, which reported a mixed quarterly performance post-market hours. So their profit topped expectations. The ad revenue, however, came down. And what's exciting a lot of investors is that the company has announced that they will be expanding their cost-cutting plan by $2 billion. So shares in after-hours trade were up around 4%, and it'll be interesting to see how this one moves once the market opens as well. But speaking of the US, let's listen into some views coming in from experts on the state of the US economy and where stocks and bonds could be headed from here on.
We have seen such strong signs that we can bring down inflation to an acceptable level without really hurting the economy. I mean, 2023 has been sort of a proof of concept of that. We've seen very substantial disinflation across not just the US and the developed economies, but a much broader group of countries that saw an unwanted and large acceleration in inflation. To an average of about 6% in 2022. It's back to 3%. There's still some work to do, but we're on a very good path.
Maybe the base case is that we continue to normalize, but the risk is to the upside. Oil price is down. The market is sort of calming, but the risk is to the upside on inflation. And the third, you mentioned it, is valuations. Overall, the market is reasonably valued, but compared to bonds, stocks are more expensive than they were before this whole, the sell-off of 2022 and where we are now. So, the equity risk premium is most compressed it's been in 20 years.
We did see some dovish hints from the FOMC, so taking off further rate hikes from the table and actually giving conviction to investors to start really pricing in rate cuts ahead. It was also a really pivotal week because of the announcement from the Treasury of a little bit less Treasury issuance than we had expected, and especially less issuance in the long end of the curve. So a sign that the Treasury is paying attention to where there's a little bit less demand and where they should be issuing treasuries. And then lastly, yes, we did get some slightly softer economic data, payrolls, ISM, not too soft, but at least signaling that the boomy pace of growth in the third quarter was just a once-off, and we're likely to see a normalization in growth ahead.
Okay, that is some important opinion that we are tracking this morning. But let's now talk about all of the cues that you should track as we get into this trading session. So we have our research team here with the trade setup. We have Mangalam, Ekta and Surbhi all joining in. Guys, a very good morning to all of you. Ekta, coming to you first. Yesterday we did end quite all right. We had a lot of strength in the broader markets as well. How is it looking this morning?
Thanks for that. Well, yes, definitely. Yesterday we had the Sensex and the Nifty, which closed with minor gains. The mid-cap index rose around 1%. The bank index relatively underperformed. The Nifty closed at 19,444. The Sensex also rose around 33 odd points. FIIs net sold lesser than what they have been, so they net sold around 84.5 crores. DIIs net bought over 500 odd crores, so net institutions were buyers yesterday. The big cue overnight is that oil has further fallen, so it's at 3-month lows. It slipped below $80 per barrel for Brent as demand concerns mount. US is marginally higher. We have stocks such as Disney, which rose around 3% Asia largely higher. So maybe all this is probably going to bode well for our markets in today's trading session. Stock-specific action continues tail end of the earnings season. We have Diwali around the corner, so a lot of numbers expected before that. M&M, ABB, Apollo Hospital, Ashok Leyland, to name a few in today's trading session. In terms of levels to watch out for, we're now above the 20-day moving average. The next port of call would be the 100-day moving average, which is 19,455, and the 50-day moving average, which is 19,560.
Okay, Ekta, thanks a lot for taking us through those cues as well as some of the important levels that we should track today. But let's talk about the stocks that are going to be in focus in today's trading session. And Surbhi is here with that entire list. Hi, Surbhi.
Hi, so it is a long list, let's start with Pidilite. It was a mild miss on the revenue front, but the volumes have beaten expectations. Revenue at 3,076 crores, EBITDA at 680 crores versus the poll of 675 crores, and margins at 22%. Tata Power, it was a strong quarter, revenue up 12%, EBITDA up 76%, and margins at nearly 20%. United Spirits, the numbers are above expectations, revenue up 13%, gross profit margins at 43% versus nearly 41%, and EBITDA up 21%. At 470 crores. Lupin, again, the numbers are better than expectations. Revenue up 22%, EBITDA at 918 odd crores, and margins at 18.2%. Bata, the top line softness has continued, but there is an improvement on the gross margin front. Revenues at 819 crores and margins at 22%. Patanjali Food, revenues down 8% on a year-on-year basis, but the gross margins are at 13% versus 9% same time last year. Some other companies that may react to earnings are MCX, MedPlus, Mazgao Dock, just to name a few.
Okay, Surbhi, thanks a lot for running us through all of those stocks. We're going to watch for these in today's trading session. But finally, let's also talk about cues from the futures market now. Mangalam is here with all of the details. Mangalam, we ended at that 19,440 kind of mark. How's it looking today?
Well, it's a Thursday today, so that means it is Nifty weekly options expiry. So the Nifty will be the key index to watch out for today. Yesterday it was good because the Nifty ended higher, closer to that 19,450 mark. Yes, about 20 points away from the day's high, but nothing really to worry. The choppiness in the market, however, was brought about by the Nifty Bank, which has been underperforming. So if you just take a look at the Nifty's intraday moves along with the Nifty Bank's intraday move, you will see that there is a fair amount of choppiness in the Nifty Bank. In fact, the FIs, they sold less in the cash market, and that supported the cause of the frontline index. The Nifty futures premium came down from 70 points to 47 points. That's telling you that there was some selling in index futures as well, and the data confirmed that. The FI sold about 308 crores in index futures. However, their selling was mostly directed towards in Nifty Bank, where there was a selling of close to around 388 crores. They went ahead and bought a little long positions in Nifty itself. So what did they do? They added around 1,100 long positions. My sense is that most of that would be additions on the Nifty itself, and they added 6,200 short contracts, which were shorts on the Nifty Bank. So that's the index we have to watch out for. the FI long-short ratio pretty close to that 80-20 mark itself. Because it is weekly options expiry, people used to, write straddles, which is a call and a put together. Currently, the fulcrum is around that 19,450 mark. So the 19,450 call and the put on the Nifty, as you can see on your screen, together have a premium of roughly 90 points. So what is it that the option writers are hoping for? They're hoping for a range-bound trade, and for them to make most amount of money, the Nifty has to be in this range of 19,360 to 19,540. So that's something we'll be watching out for. But largely, it has been a stock-specific market, and in that, we watch out for a bunch of stocks. One, Delta Corp has entered F&O ban for the first time in this series. Usually it has been in ban for extended periods of time. So see some underperformance there. Short covering in Apollo Tyre and Alchem. Expect to see this continue if the stocks move higher in today's trading session as well. And for 9 straight sessions, we've seen gains come by on HPCL. That stock continues to do well with a lot of long positions added on these oil refiners. Overnight crude declines would help these stocks even further.
All right, Mangalam, thanks a lot for that. So that is the trade setup as we see it this morning. But with that, it is time for our first short break in the show. When we come back, we're going to bring you excerpts from a very interesting conversation that we had with Hero MotoCorp CEO Niranjan Gupta on exports, expansion plans, the entire EV push, and lots more. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Let's get you an interesting word from the auto sector. Hero MotoCorp has announced that it will enter Europe with its electric vehicle brand Vida. Earlier today, we spoke with Niranjan Gupta, CEO at Hero MotoCorp, and he talked about the company's export as well as EV plans. So listen in to a slice of that conversation.
80% of our resources will go towards the top 10 markets, and the rest of the markets we will nurture and build efficiently. And any new market we will enter basis the size of the price or strategic considerations. Over a medium term, again, the point is that this is, in a sense, a white space for us and a growth opportunity, because currently only 5% of our revenues come from international markets as compared to overall 25% for the industry. So I think it will be fair to assume that medium to long term, our endeavor would be to get into our revenue shape, 10 to 15% of our revenue as coming from international market. We do expect industry to grow double digits, and we are confident that we could do even more, given the portfolio that we have and the launches that we have done. Happy to report that so far our growth has been around 15% plus. In FY25, we would be bringing out the products in the mid and the affordable segment as well.
That is Niranjan Gupta telling us that they do see the export share rising to 15% from the current 5%. And on EVs, they're saying that they're looking to launch 2 new mid-range kind of products in the next financial year. That's in FY25. But as we slip into a break now, it's that special time of the year again. And as the festive season draws near, we all want to help you ensure that you have a prosperous new year. So to do this, Lata caught up with market experts on the sector and themes that they find value in. Listen in to what they had to tell us.
I would say financial services is an evergreen, attractive.
And an old love for you.
Yeah, and an old love as well. And, if I look at my own portfolio, if I look at the runway for growth of those companies, the way we are able to use technology to understand our customers better, manage our risks
fintechs
better.
would it be?
Deploying technology in your core business. Sometimes fintech gives a sense that everything is only tech and there is no physical presence. I think still a physical reach, having branches, having touch points with the customer is an important one. But the penetration levels is so low and the need is so high. The entrepreneurship is so high in the country, whether it is SME financing or microfinance or housing
All finance
financing
banks.
or personal credits. The growth seems immense for disciplined company. I'm not talking about hubris. It is very, very careful risk management, great deployment of technology, measured growth, well-capitalized balance sheet. It is an endless growth journey. And then there are, of course, other attractive sectors like healthcare. There is domestic consumer, done sensibly, is a very attractive sector. Pharmaceutical.
Your best sector.
Yeah.
Well, financial services, obviously, because it's not, we can't have enough of it in the country. And you can play it in very many ways. The second, of course, is, from our perspective, we are playing, let's say, if you look at Digital India as a theme, because we manage multiple strategies, we are playing the Digital India through who is going to put the infrastructure for Digital India to really thrive. And therefore, we have a specific data center fund which is building out data centers. And with the advent of 5G and AI, the data center demand is likely to explode. We are also providing much needed capital for consolidation in industry. As you know, the banks are not permitted to provide consolidation financing.
You're not saying realty. I thought you would say that first.
I'm going to come to that. So I'm also playing the domestic consumption story because, the residential real estate market is doing very well, and we continue to sort of put very significant capital. It has great multiplier effect in the economy. So we are playing these three themes through three different pools of capital, and I think it's an interesting and sweet spot to be in.
Welcome back. You're still tuned into Power Breakfast. We've been talking about the equities, so let's get a check on what's going on with the commodities. Manisha joins us with an update. Manisha, it seems like everything in the commodity space is pulling back except for a certain coin.
Oh, yes. If you look at the Bitcoin, it's been an amazing year, this one, and we've seen more than 100% of gains come in for Bitcoin. It's trading at an 18-month highs. So the last couple of months actually have done quite well for the alternate currencies there. But yes, when it comes to commodities, we seem to be looking at some more profit-taking now coming in. In the New York session yesterday, we saw the crude oil prices give away to $80 on the lower side as well. Asia has seen some buying come in right now, but this is still a 3-month lows. There are reports that there are demand concerns in China and U.S., and actually the U.S. gasoline demand may hit a 20-year lows per capita in 2024, and the weaker demand concerns are weighing onto the markets. Also, the U.S. inventories are at a multi-month highs, and what the street is looking for right now is the China inflation data, the latest reaction was coming in from there.
Okay, Manisha, thanks a lot for getting us a check on what's going on with the commodities. But with that, let me also quickly bring you some national updates. As the air quality worsens in Delhi and the AQI remains in the severe category, the government has now decided to ban app-based cabs registered in other states. Meanwhile, after a wrap from the Supreme Court, Delhi's Environment Minister Gopal Rai said that the odd-even scheme will be implemented only after the Apex Court reviews its effectiveness. So that's an important update. Of course, we're going to keep bringing you more on that as we pick up any new details. But for now, we're going to wind down in this edition of Power Breakfast with the news that Asia is largely higher. The GIFT Nifty is implying that the start for our own markets could be positive as well. Around 30 points higher is where we're at on the GIFT Nifty. Thanks for tuning in. We have Bazaar Morning Call on the other side.